Good morning. Welcome to Monday. I hope you're having an amazing start to your week. It feels a little bit like a Monday today, but that's okay. We got this. We got this. Just wanting to check in, get back into our routine of connecting, hanging out, and creating communities. So I'm going to give you a moment. If you're going to join us live, please say hello in the comments as you get situated. If you are catching this on the replay, please still say hello in the comments. You can put hashtag replay, you can put checking in later, you can just put a little waving emoji, whatever you feel called to, but just let me know. The more people that we can get to comment, like, share, put an emoji in the comments, the more we can keep letting people know that we're here for our weekly check-in. So help a girl out. You can even just hit like if you're not feeling conversationally today. You can do that too. That is also much appreciated. But hoping you are having a great Monday. Cheers to you. It is going to be a very busy week in my world this week as we head to the Canadian Country Music Awards happening later this week. Hamilton, Ontario is the host community this year for the celebrations. If you're somebody who enjoys country music and you're not attending, there will, of course, be the award show on television on Saturday, and you can get all those details online. If you are coming to Hamilton, we really look forward to connecting with you. We will be hanging out and set up shop at the George Hamilton Brewery, right downtown, right in the heart of the action for our Diamonds in the Rough stage for 2023. And just really looking forward to all of the performance opportunities and the really cool contest that is happening in conjunction with the stage. And it's just going to be awesome. So I would encourage you, would love it if you did, would, etc., if you, I'm just going to write this in the thing. Hi, Candace. How are you? If you would follow, well, I've just placed it into the comments, but I'll show it up on the screen. Diamonds in the Rough stage. That is the social media for the stage that my company will be managing for the week. So we're going to keep you updated with some of the cool action right from Hamilton and would appreciate the support over there. So if you are a fan of country music in Canada, no, it's always backwards, right? This is the place to follow, and we would really love to have you as a part of the action. So there won't be a live virtual coffee club on Wednesday morning because that is travel day. But we will be on this social media site for the remainder of the week, bringing you action from Hamilton. So that's going to be so much fun. What's going on in your world? What's happening? Candace, feel free to post in the comments some of the cool things you got coming up. And girl, there are a lot of them. But we also need to connect with you on your journey right now. So Candace, we've had on Virtual Coffee Club before, chatting about the really cool initiative that she does in the community. Candace is a really great community builder in the community of High River, and she goes above and beyond to make people feel welcome. Every time you see her, she creates community within community. We had her on, of course, to talk about wine, women, and well-being. She also does an event called Rehung, which I think is brilliant. And what was I saying with that? That's basically where you can take all the stuff that you have in your closet and sell it to each other. And then Candace is also fighting right now for the opportunity to get additional care when it comes to her health. And she is a medical marvel and a miracle. And Candace message me so we can book you in to chit chat about it, because I won't do it justice right now when I try to explain it on my own. I know I will miss some key pieces, but basically, Candace has lived longer than the doctors expected her to. She has muscular dystrophy. I believe I'm saying that right. And she is fighting for additional care. So we want to help her with that. So she'll come on and chit chat. She says, we also have Drag Bingo happening on September 21st. There are only 8 tickets left, and it is going to be a really good night. So make sure you check that out if you were in the High River area. Kelly says, come see the Back 40 band to help raise funds. This is raising funds for Candace. Awesome band, great time. Kelly, will you post the details for anybody who's catching this? We'd love to have those details or a link that people can click on to get some more information. Please feel free to throw those into the comments. Friends, no matter where you are watching from. So I know that we've got a great contingency of coffee clubbers in Southern Alberta, which I love, but I know we get some great coffee clubbers from all across the country. So no matter where you are, I want you to post in the comments anything that you have coming up. You never know if people from your community are checking it out, if people will be in the area to check that out. So please post it. This is a space where we can come together and share what we have going on in our communities. You can share what you have going on in your life. It's a safe, open space for connection and fun. So welcome to it. The harvest party. Oh, on October 21st. Yes, it's going to be so good. Yep. Candace is filling up the comments with all the things. I love it. There's so much going on. And it's going to be such a great opportunity to connect in community. So please join and have some fun with that. What else do you got going on in your world? I have noticed that I did went out for a drive on the weekend, a big one, and leaves are starting to turn. I'm not ready for the change of season because I am a big fan of summer. It is my favorite time of year. But I do really have a beautiful love for spring and fall. Winter, we're still trying to work things out. But fall, I love the colors. I love the change. I love one of the things I think, that I love most about fall is it gives us a beautiful visual of change and of letting go. 2 things we struggle the most with our lives: change and letting go. And that makes me think about, I just wanted to give some love to anybody who is having their children who are heading off to college for the first time. Now, this could be an empty nest scenario for some. It could just be your first child if you have multiples who are heading off to college and the transition that comes with that. And I have a friend who shared a beautiful Facebook post this past week about just how much that hurts your heart. And as parents, I can't think that, I don't know if we don't talk about it as much. The process of going through that and how painful it is to your heart and the adjustment to your family. I don't know if people don't talk about it enough in generality, or if people only talk about it as it's happening to them. But one of the things that my friend had said in her post was, why didn't anybody warn me about how much this was going to hurt, how difficult this was going to feel? It's almost like grief, right? Like it borders along the elements of grief. You go through some of the same processes that you do in grief. And I mean, honestly, grief looks different for everybody. Grief can happen in a number of scenarios. It's not just about somebody who passes away. Grief can happen with change. Grief can happen with loss of or change of relationship. Grief can happen even with changes in your own self. Often when we're feeling really lost in the path or the journey that we're taking, it's because we're grieving the past versions of ourselves. And we don't talk a lot about these different elements of grief that happen in our life. So if anybody has experienced this process, would love you to share any of your thoughts, your comments, your encouragements, something that helped you get through that time frame. Please share it in the comments, because I know a lot of people have been sharing. It's the back to school time, and people have been sharing a lot of emotion around that, and it can be an interesting time of year for parents. Got a chatty bird in the neighborhood today. He has a lot to say about that. So please feel free to share in that if you're experiencing that. Hi, Cheryl. Or if you're going through any of those pieces, or maybe you are experiencing grief on another level, like any of the other examples I gave: grief of past self, grief of a change of a friendship or a romantic relationship in your life, any of those elements that pop into your world that offer you that space of feeling sad, feeling longing. Good morning, Kevin. Please feel free to share that, because I think that we go through a lot of this grief pieces all the time. Like, I feel like I've been on an up and down grief wagon for a while for a number of different areas, but we don't often talk about all of the other examples of it. We tend to stay pretty zoned in on just when we lose somebody from this world. And I think that the more we can talk about something like grief, the more we can help each other through these processes. And as we've learned before, we've talked about it lots. If you follow Dr. Jody Carrington on her socials, or other great teachers in our world, is you got to name the things to tame the things. And so if we can put a label of, and then they'd be like, oh, don't label things. But sometimes, yeah, let's label them so that we can put them here and just address, okay, I am experiencing what feels like grief to me. I am feeling a loss. I am feeling sad. I am feeling uncertain. I am feeling like this change is activating emotions in me that I maybe didn't realize I had, or thought I had healed, or whatever that looks like. The more we can sort of bring that to the forefront, I think the easier it is for us to process through a lot of those elements. And it's not easy, and it feels kind of scary. And you feel like, I think we are very good at being like, well, I'm just feeling like, you know, a grief of a past self, but I don't really want to share that because I know this person lost somebody this year, or this person is going through this hard time, or this struggle is happening over here. Please do not compare your elements with anybody else's. Everybody's piece is just as important to them as yours is to you. And we have capacity as community to share in that together. Yeah, and Candace shares that she's in a state of grief right now at losing abilities that she once had due to her spinal muscular atrophy. That's how I say it properly. Add on to the fact that there's another level of grief added on due to being denied access to treatment that could eliminate my loss of ability. And that's what we're going to talk with Candace in the future. But thank you for being brave to share what that looks like, what that feels like, because it's hard. And we don't think about those things and the element of those things all the time for other people. What does that look like? I think that an interesting piece for me is that I'm going through elements of healing different childhood traumas, going through elements of learning, new ways of life, new opportunities for a healing journey, new career opportunity, like all of those things, like the change, the constant change that comes into play. And it can feel overwhelming because you lose people along the way. people that don't understand your commitments to different times, people that don't understand your new way of thinking, people that don't agree with maybe what that looks like. And so you lose some people along the way. And when we lose people out of our life in a non-death situation, sometimes, can it be fair to say sometimes that can feel a little bit more difficult? I think when we look at grief of a loss of a life, it's so defined in we expect that in our world. Do you know what I mean? We expect people, like, it's inevitable. People are going to pass away in our life. That is 100% factual. It will happen. So I think we have the ability in our human experience to step into that type of grief. But when we're losing people in our lives, whether it be romantic relationships or friendships or it could be, what else could be an example of that? Business partnerships, connectors in the community. Um, it could be, business to business relationships. It could be client loss. It could be any of those things. When we have that shift of the change of the players in the game with you, it's almost more challenging because we're not really taught how to lose people gracefully. Does that make sense? Has anybody else ever felt this way? That loss or change of people, of the players in your life, we're not taught how to do that. And I think that, Candace brings up health. I'm going to share Jocelyn's comment in a moment, bringing up health. The change in your personal ability, if you're affected by a health prognosis or something that's happening in your life that way, we don't often dive into the depths of having that conversation and teaching each other. And I don't remember ever being taught that, right? As children, we're not taught, okay, when you grow up, you're going to lose friends. I mean, obviously, it happens on a childhood basis. Like one day, Sally's your best friend. The next day, she sends you a note that she hates you. The next day, like you have those childhood moments of friendships, but we don't really get taught how to grieve those changing processes. And so I've just really felt on my heart that we can do that together in community, like in this space, by just sharing and kind of having some of those conversations about how do we move through those changes together. And sometimes we do it really gracefully and we do it with a beautiful amount of gratitude, and um, we can shift from that on an okay level. And then there's some days where we just do it shitty, right? We just don't know how or what to say or what to do next or how to process any of that. And I want you to know that that's okay. We don't have to be graceful all the time. We don't have to be anything anytime, right? So just knowing if you feel like you've dealt with it in a not beautiful way lately, that's okay. I'm going to share Jocelyn. She says, "This too shall pass." It's the quote that got her through her divorce, her cancer treatment, her loss of a 13-year job, and learning to ride the waves of change and accept rather than deny, which I think is a really great point, Jocelyn. Thank you. Emotions that helped her heal. And I think sometimes we think we shouldn't, right? We shouldn't all over ourselves have a certain type of response or emotion, or we have to be strong, we have to be whatever. You don't. You're allowed to ride those waves. And so thank you, Jocelyn, for sharing that with the group today, too, because I think that's really poignant. And I don't know, I've felt that a lot on my heart over the last little bit from personal experience of shift and change. And when you're on a journey of growth, not everybody grows with you. And when you lose people in that growth process, it feels really weird because you feel like maybe you shouldn't be growing. Maybe you shouldn't be changing. Maybe you shouldn't feel like you are more aware. I think that there's an interesting, I don't know, I'm going to go here for a moment, but I think there's an interesting vibe that's happening in the world right now when it comes to I think it's been dubbed being woke. Okay, so if you look up the definition of woke, it's basically just awareness. And it's getting this really negative connotation that people who are woke are canceling culture, or they're canceling history, or they're canceling this different thing. And so there's this interesting vibe that goes on, that as people start to increase their awareness, and we just shift the language a little bit, uh, that it's a bad thing, and people then feel a little nervous to increase their awareness because not everybody is choosing to increase their awareness. And I think I've talked about it before in my, I don't know, it's my opinion of ignorance. You know, ignorance is normal. Ignorance happens to everybody. We are not with knowledge of all things at all times. What I feel is you can choose to stay in your ignorance, or you can choose to learn. And that's very much where this vibe for awareness also comes into play, because you start to become aware that, okay, the actions that I used to do, the things that I had said, the jokes that I thought were funny, the marketing or sports teams names that I grew up with not thinking about, like all of these things shift and change. And when we grow in that awareness, we're going to leave people behind who aren't ready to grow in their awareness. And that's okay. Not easy, not freaking easy at all, but okay. Love you. Anything else on your mind today that you would like to feel like sharing? I think that shifting and changing what you do for work can also be an interesting grief time, where you're going to grieve what you did before, feel uncertain of what the next step is for you. I think, yeah, your kids getting older and going into bigger grades, your kids becoming teenagers and not needing you as much. There's grief in all of these things. All of these things. So it's okay if you're feeling weird about some stuff. Energetically, the world's kind of been a bit of a shit show. Would you agree with me on that of late? So we're just going to ride through those waves together. I remind you in this moment how incredibly important you are in the integral piece of this world. I think sometimes too, I want to bring it up in yesterday was World Suicide Awareness Day. And with that, again, it's still suicide is still something that is very uncomfortable for people to talk about and have conversation about. It feels very unnatural for us to ask people in our life if they're feeling like they are safe and they are okay, because we can get very afraid of what the answer looks like for that. So just remembering to post, if you get a chance, post some of those suicide awareness phone numbers onto your social media, because you have no idea who might be needing that. I feel like it goes without saying, smile at everybody you come in contact in the community today, tomorrow, the next day. You never know how much a smile could change somebody's moment, their perspective, lift them in a different way. And don't be afraid to ask those difficult questions. You don't have to have the answer. You don't have to have the answer. You just have to have the heart. And so let's keep talking about that. Let's keep reminding each other that even in the moments where we feel like our piece of the puzzle doesn't matter anymore, I want to remind you that it does. And this, as as Jocelyn shared, this too shall pass. Yeah. Sharon, Lois, and Bram, a smile goes a long way. And I don't know about you, but I've heard many a story through the years of people who were in that space where they thought they didn't matter anymore, and they thought their life was not needed on this earth, and they had made their mind up that morning that they were going to take their life. And I've heard so many stories of people who then say they were headed out to do something before that happened, and somebody smiled at them, or somebody said hello, or someone engaged in conversation, or gave them a compliment, or whatever, and it changed the trajectory of their life. Now, I'm not saying that's always going to happen. Everybody's in a different state of all time, but you never know when that little piece of kindness, and we see this, it's like, I feel like the most posted saying of all time is that you don't know what's going on behind somebody's closed door in their life, behind the scenes. So be kind always. But honestly, that kindness could change someone's trajectory. And I guarantee you, even if you are having the shittiest day of all, you being in that space, in that element of kindness, in expressing that positive gratitude to someone else, it's going to reflect back into you. Guaranteed in some form. So Rhonda says, I am always waving to people when you drive around Nanton because you never know. So if you've been through Nanton and this strange woman has waved to you, she's not strange. She's Rhonda, and we appreciate it. You never know. And how often do you see people driving with the most horrific, sad look on their faces? And you're just like, what happened today? And often when people are mean to you, sometimes there's just jerks in the world, guaranteed. But most of the time, when someone is outwardly mean to you, it's because something has happened to put them in that space. So curious compassion is always the remedy. I will preach that till the end of my days. Compassionate curiosity will lead us into deeper connection and community. Okay. I'm going to let you get on with your Monday, because I could ramble on about how much we need to share love. Vera, good morning. But just always, just little fun reminders of how we can stay connected and just love each other. Just love each other. Okay. Appreciate you, love you, and I hope you have an incredible rest of your Monday. Have a great week. As I said, I won't be here Wednesday morning live because I'll be traveling to Hamilton for the Canadian Country Music Awards. But if you follow, I'm just going to throw this up on the screen one more time. If you follow Diamonds in the Rough stage, Facebook or Instagram, I will be sharing some fun with you from the Canadian Country Music Awards, from the Diamonds in the Rough stage, which was created to give showcase opportunity for our independent country artists in the country. And I cannot wait to share that with you. So Thursday through Saturday, we will be having some fun right here on Diamonds in the Rough stage. So please tune in for that. And I hope you have an incredible rest of your day and week. Cheers to you. Much love. And we will talk to you later in the week. Bye, everybody.